How many executions were there in Scotland at the end of the 1715 Jacobite uprising? If I told you, you'd be shocked. If you get it to within plus or minus 100, I'll treat that as a win. So, put your answer in the comment section now. If you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen and ring the notification bell to be told when I upload new videos. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. Have you chosen a number? Be honest, because I will be asking you later. There were three major Jacobite uprisings, all of which started in the Highlands of Scotland. But the one with the broadest support across Scotland also included simultaneous uprisings in the north of England. That's right, our Geordie pals got in the action as well. The most notable London executions were the Earl of Derwentwater, Lord Kenmure, George Collingwood, Richard Gascoigne, William Paul, John Hall, Henry Oxburgh and John Bruce. The most famous escape from the axeman down there was William Maxwell, Earl of Nitsdale, rescued by his plucky wife. He was awaiting execution in the Tower of London when she got him out. Now, I've made a video about Lady Winifred. Come back and click top right. But what about up here? How bad did it get up here? Who were the names? How many here had support to help them escape? And why? To answer the question, I've brought you to the shadow of Edinburgh Castle, which would end up being the place of execution. First, let's put this uprising into context. It's 1715. 8 years earlier, Scotland had been forced into a union with England. Now, this is a political hot potato in Scotland, I know. I'm sure our viewers in England have a view in that as will the wider diaspora, and each of these groups will have varying opinions, all coloured by political, cultural and social attitudes today. You'll argue based on your reading of history since that time, or social conditions in our current time. I'm not trying to change your mind on anything. I'm just saying that most people in the early 18th century of Scotland, and indeed England, didn't want the union that was driven through Parliament in 1707. In fact, the union was so unpopular that 6 years after it was enacted, the Scottish MPs, who sat as a minority in that new London Parliament, brought forward a vote to abolish it. But English MPs said no. So imagine the emotional situation when a year later, Queen Anne died, and that London Parliament forced their choice of a new king on Scotland. And remember, the reason this union had been forced in Scotland in the first place was that in 1704, the Scottish Parliament had passed the Act of Security, saying that we wouldn't have England's choice of monarch forced on us. Whatever your political opinions or emotional state today, this was the purpose of union. It wasn't Darien, it wasn't a partnership of equal nations or trade, it was this. England wanted to dictate Scotland's monarch. It was in this context that the 1715 uprising took place. When the rising had been quelled, they felt comfortable with the head chopping of the elites that I described in London. There were also lower rank executions of people captured at Preston, and that was held in Lancashire. But what to do in Scotland? Habeas corpus had been suspended during the period of the rebellion. Imprisonment without charge. But before long, that legislation suspending habeas corpus was going to run out. And the Lord Advocate and Deputy Advocate of Scotland advised their southern masters that it would be difficult to find a Scottish jury to bring convictions. Rank and file Jacobites imprisoned in Edinburgh and Glasgow were offered the option to volunteer for transportation. You see, apparently, under the criminal law at the time, you couldn't be sentenced to transportation, but only petition for it after conviction. But somebody had been given these guys legal advice, and only 28 went for it. The other 600 refused to budge. They were eventually released in June 1716. What about the high-ranking prisoners? These guys were seen as more culpable than the servile class who had little option but to rebel or be thrown off their land. The London government devised a plan for these 80 or so prisoners to be moved to Carlisle. They would be dealt with by an English court, getting round the sticky problem of Scottish juries. Now, at the time, German Geordie was back in Hanover, and the government was being run by his son, the Prince of Wales and future George II, who would preside over the post-Culloden atrocities when Jacobites rose against him. But this time round, the House of Hanover were only just in the door. They'd only just plonked their buttocks in the fancy chair. And they'd just seen how fragile their position was. So the plan was to have those rebellious gentlemen taken across the border, tried, convicted and sentenced, but then, in the most wonderful demonstration of conspicuous mercy, commute the sentences and let them go free. Apart from 3. I mean, there had to be a bit of head chopping to show you were serious. But London had a problem. The Scottish social elite went mental. The idea that any Scotsman would be tried in England under English law before an English court for crimes committed in Scotland, that caused outrage. Let me remind you, the year before, Scots MPs had tried to raise a bill to undo the Union. Whig and Tory, Presbyterian and Episcopalian, Highland and Lowland, and everyone in the legal profession said no way. Lord Advocate Dalrymple diplomatically acquired an illness that meant he couldn't possibly be involved. And his deputy, not content with the dog ate my homework excuse, simply refused to lead the prosecution, even if it cost him his office. There were a tsunami of petitions and intercessions to government from the prisoners and their friends. And in the end, the London government decided that going through the process and then choosing the 3 victims for a show execution was more trouble than leniency. Everyone was released, either immediately or under the amnesty that passed Parliament in 1717. So Bruce, are you telling me there were no executions at all in Scotland after the 1715 uprising? No, there was one. Before I tell you about that execution, let me remind you that I'll be coming to these very gardens with a group of up to 25 people as part of my autumn 11-day tour of Scotland. I'll also take you to Glencoe, the Isle of Mull, Iona, Inverness, St Andrews and Edinburgh. Here, I'll show you Loch Lomond and Loch Ness with stories along the way. I'll put on a comedy show and we'll end with a ceilidh. It'll be fantastic. Now, more than half the seats are gone, but if you'd like to be one of the exclusive group to come on this wonderful trip, including full board, entry fees and me as your guide, then either click the link top right or the one in the description below, or email alexis@scotlandhistorytours.co.uk. One single execution. If you'd been here on Christmas Eve 1716 and you looked up towards the castle, you would have seen gallows looking down in impending judgment. William Anley would have been brought out. He wasn't at the Battle of Sheriffmuir. He wasn't one of the Highlanders who crossed the Forth and took the citadel at Leith. He wasn't one of the group who went south to hook up with the northern English Jacobites and got captured at Preston. He'd been sergeant in the guard at Edinburgh Castle. He'd taken a bribe from Jacobites to let them into the castle on the 9th of September the year before. Now, I'm not going to give you the details of that attempt in the castle right now. I've told that story in another video that I've made, and you can come back and click top right to watch that. But first, let me show you something. I don't have information on the trial and sentence of Sergeant William Anley, although it would be interesting to have seen how his subordinates, who'd also been bribed and complicit in the scheme, escaped execution. The Jacobites who'd been captured in the fiasco that I described in the linked video all walked free. But this one guy was executed. I'm guessing that as the leader of the inside gang of traitors, he was seen by the authorities as most culpable. And as a lower ranking member of the Hanoverian system, probably didn't have the sympathy or connections of those who campaigned so vigorously for the actual Jacobites in Scotland. Whatever the reason, we do have one insight into his last days. Here in the National Library of Scotland, we have a copy of the last speech and dying words of William Anley. It reads like a sermon on the grace and wonders of God. It's very different from the foul-mouthed rant that he came out with when he was discovered. We know that two city ministers, the Reverend William Mitchell and John Matheson, prayed with Anley and led the crowd in prayers. Could it be that these spiritual advisors helped him to write this? Was it a propaganda piece required by the state? Was it his personal psalm to God like a latter-day sinful David? If it was, then it wasn't the only song written for this event. Printers at the time plied their trade like tabloids of today, magnifying scurrilous and sensational things. And one printer produced the broadsheet, The Lamentation and Last Farewell of William Anley, which tells his story. And curiously, this sounds much more like a soldier going to the gallows, having tried to make a bit of cash on the side and being caught. Either way, here in the National Library of Scotland are two pieces of history connected to the only person in Scotland executed at the end of the 1715 Jacobite uprising. As I say, I made a video about the events that led to Sergeant Anley's execution. It's definitely worth a watch, and of course, it's coming up on screen now. Support the channel by clicking top right to become a Patreon member or buy me a coffee in the description below. In the meantime, ha mé an dóchas go mbuail am alley. Cheerio and drastic.